Restlessness is you're never content with what you have. You always want something more. So you have enough already. This is good enough. So your little place where you're sitting, this is good enough. If you're content on your little cushion, then you'll find you don't want to move at all. Have you ever said thank you to your cushion for supporting your bottom all these hours? You've been kind to your... No wonder you get sore in the bottom, because your cushion's getting its own back. Because you never said thank you. It's poking up here and poking up there. I'm going to teach that ungrateful meditator. So be kind to your cushion. And then the cushion is kind to you. It's like contentment. Now when you're in your meditation, why is it that the mind moves somewhere else? You're not content to be here. You're always going somewhere else. You know, every so often, in each one of you, jhanas has knocked at the door. But you've been out when it called. And that's why it couldn't come in. You've been going somewhere else. You've never been here with what you're experiencing. That's why it never happened. So you're just content to be here. Okay, if I'm a restless mind, I'm not going to go anywhere else. I'm going to stay here. I'm not going to add restlessness to restlessness. If my mind is only starting present moment awareness, that's all I've got, that's good enough for me. You are someone who is easily satisfied. Those people who want something out of this meditation, who want to sit longer, sit deeper, you'll find that that wanting will create restlessness. You always want something more. Where can you ever rest? Is it going to be perfect when you can rest? One of the nice stories was of this monk called Buddhadasa, a great monk. He was building his main meditation hall. When it came to the rainy season retreat, he stopped building. He sent all the builders home. This is time for meditation. Stop the building. Actually, it'd be great if they stopped the building upstairs, because then bang, bang, bang. But anyway, they stopped the building. A few days later, a man came to visit. And he looked at the hall. It hadn't got a roof on. There was pieces of wood all over the place. And so he asked the great monk, when is your hall going to be finished? And he said, the hall is finished. What do you mean, the hall is finished? Said the visitor. There's not a roof on it yet. There's no windows in the holes. There's not even any doors. It's a mess. Are you going to leave it like that? What do you mean the hall's finished? And without missing a beat, this great monk said, what's done is finished. And then he went off to meditate. Isn't that a wonderful attitude in life? What's done is finished. So you don't have to always be doing things. At least some of life can be finished. Unfortunately, though, I told that story many years ago at our temple in Perth on a Friday night. Really, it was just about meditation. The only time you have any peace in life is to say, what's done is finished, and leave it alone to rest. Because really, all your life is never finished, is it? All of your housework, all your women, it's never finished. As soon as you do all the dishes, your husband makes a cup of coffee and dirties another one. As soon as you sweep the ground, your children come in with their dirty shoes and make it filthy again. Your husband, as soon as you paint one wall, another one gets dirty. Your work is never finished in life, is it? Even at work, as soon as you get one project out of the way, your boss gives you another one. Actually, it's usually before you finish the old one, he gives you another one. Usually another two sometimes. But the point is, how can you ever get any peace unless you understand the meaning of what's done is finished? What's done is finished, great, I can have a few minutes rest. However, I told this story on a Friday night. On a Sunday morning, there was a man came to complain to me. He was a Sri Lankan man. He told me, he said, Ajahn Brahm, never tell that story again, especially when there's children in the audience. Because apparently what happened on a Saturday evening, his 16-year-old son was about to go out to a party. And the father, this man, said, "Son, have you done your homework? Because I told you can't go out to the homework until you can't go out to the party till you finished your homework." And as the boy was going out of the door, he said, "Dad, just as Ajahn Brahm told us last night, what's done is finished. Good night, see you tomorrow." So that does not apply to your children doing their homework. It does apply to you. What's done is finished. Then we don't get restless then. Otherwise, we've always got something to do. When there's something to do, there'll always be doing, and that's the cause of restlessness. So, what's done is finished. You've already completed the task by sitting down on your cushion. Now, relax, let go. Whatever happens is fine by me. You are content whatever comes. If it's enlightenment, you are content. If it's restlessness, you are content. If it's sleepiness, you are content. Whatever happens, you're at peace. Then you're never restless. You're happy where you are. When you're happy where you are, you don't go anywhere. That's the end of restlessness. You know you're not restless when you are still. You don't move because you're content to be here. And it's the same with life. Sometimes people have got a house. It's a wonderful house. They want to get another house, a bigger house. And then you get the bigger house, and then you're content for a while, you get another bigger house. You're always moving. Why do people always move? Can't you be content with the house you've got? People are just so restless these days. Even worse, these days people get married and they're not content with the one they're married to, so they're restless. They go somewhere else. Get another wife. You know, in Thailand, they call mistresses, they call small wives, or rather little wives. They call it mia noi, called little wives. And this scallywag man who had a couple of little wives sort of was you're supposed to be a Buddhist. Why are you getting all these mistresses, all these little wives? He said, because the Buddha told us to be content with little. Oh, some people are just too smart for their own good. Aren't you content with the one you've married? She's good enough. My goodness. And he's good enough. Can't you be content with them? If you're restless, you're discontent, you go for somebody else, you're not content with them, you go all around, you never rest, you never get any contentment. So the person you're with is good enough. Your kids, your children are good enough. Maybe they won't go to university, but they're good enough. They're happy. Your life is good enough. Have you got enough money yet? It's good enough. If I can be content with having nothing, surely you can be content with how much money you've got. How much money do you need? If I could give you each $1 million, would that be enough? Maybe for 5 minutes. Another $1 million, please. Have you ever seen this? People who win lotteries, they buy the lottery ticket again next week. It's amazing. Because they got 20 million and they already spent it. And they want another 20 million. There's never enough when you're restless. When you're restless, there's never any place you can find peace. When you're restless, there's never any person who's good enough for you. When you're restless, you are never good enough for you. It's one of the terrible diseases of life, restlessness. And all it needs to combat it is learning gratitude and appreciation. I look sometimes at my monastery. in Australia. I look at all the things which need to be done. Look at all of the renovations, all the maintenance which needs to be done, all the leaves which need to be swept from the floor. And I think, oh my goodness, it's too much work. So I decide to do contentment instead. Instead, I look at all of the buildings which have already been finished. I look at all the maintenance which has been done. I look for all the leaves which have been swept away. And then I'm content. This is good enough. So all of you women, when you go back to your kitchen, don't look for all the dirty dishes in the sink. Look for all the clean dishes which are already I think they're far more. That's good enough. So you can be content. And then you're not restless. You can rest. It's good enough for now. If you wash them more, then you get dirty again later. So what's the point? So now this is not being lazy. This is learning how to take a rest, take a break, have some peace in your life. Otherwise, when are you going to rest in peace? You know, the only people who rest in peace are in the cemetery. And it's a bit late then. So rest in peace now by having some restlessness, whatever it is. In other words, having some rest. End restlessness by contentment. And the last of these hindrances is like doubt. Is it this way, is it that way? Some of you have been meditating. Have I been hallucinating? Been dreaming? Or is it real? What's happening? Well, have a bit of trust and a bit of faith. Look, I've come all the way from Perth to teach you. At least you can believe what I say half the time. At least half the time. I'll settle for 50%. Because people always have doubts. This monk says this monk says that. This teacher, this religion says this religion says that. Even your friend says one thing and another friend says another thing. It's so confusing, life, isn't it? We don't know what to believe. It's easy to find out. Find out for yourself. At least trust this path enough to actually to follow it and see what happens. See what happens when you give up desire. See what happens when you give up ill will. See what happens when you allow sleepiness to disappear by itself without fighting it. See what happens when you replace restlessness with just contentment. Easily contented, no matter what you're experiencing. See what happens just when you follow these teachings. I've been teaching a long time. I know this path because I walk the path. I'm not just a theoretical Buddhist. So, see what happens when you follow this path. And you'll find that you get deeper, more peaceful, more mindful. Insights start to flow. You'll understand why I say you don't do insights, you don't do samatha, you don't do anything. You just get out of the way and the path happens. This is a great teaching of the Buddha. It's in the Anguttara Nikaya. It's a sutra which there's a Western man, a professor, translated it in one book. It's been translated several times. But he gave this beautiful title to this sutra. He said, enlightenment is a natural process. This cause and effect. When you get one thing, he said, for example, you can start with happiness. Oh, let's start early. When you get tranquility of the body, then happiness comes into the mind. You don't need to think or decide, oh, may I be happy. When you're tranquil, it happens as a natural, unavoidable consequence. Once you have happiness, sukha, inside the mind, you don't have to think or decide, oh, may I get jhanas. It happens as a natural consequence. You can't avoid it. It's nature that for one who is happy, the mind becomes concentrated. You don't have to think. You don't have to make a decision. Oh, may I see things as they truly are. Yatha bhuta yana dasana. In other words, you don't have to find insight. You don't have to do insight. It's a natural event that for one who has samadhi, that you see things as they truly are. You don't have to make an act of will. It happens naturally. And for those who see things as they truly are, who have insight, you don't need to make an act of will. You don't need to decide, oh, may I become enlightened. It happens naturally. It's all a cause and effect process. And that's a beautiful teaching, because it shows you how letting go happens. This wonderful eightfold path, once you get on that path, it goes all the way to the terminus, to Nibbana, and there's no stops on the way. You can't get off the bus even if you wanted to. You can ring the bell, but the driver will keep going on. I should have told you this before you joined the retreat, but most of you are already on the bus. It's too late. I'm sorry. So it's a natural process. It's nothing to do with you. In fact, the quicker you get out of the way, the sooner you reach the goal. Try it out, and you'll find all your doubts disappear. It's a beautiful path. I remember my teacher Ajahn Chah, when I was a young monk, he gave this very profound teaching. And of course, being a young monk, I never understood it for many, many, many years. But when a great monk says these things, it's amazing how you remember them. Because you know that he doesn't say things lightly. He said, when I was first a monk in his monastery, Wat Pa Pong in Thailand, he said, it's becoming a monk is like going into an orchard, a mango orchard, when all the trees have been planted a long time ago. They're already tall and mature. Already the mangoes are on the end of the branches. All you need to do is sit under the mango tree and wait for the mango to fall. That's what he told us. And I thought, that doesn't make any sense. I've got to strive. I've got to spend hours and hours sitting in meditation. I've got to study. I've got to be mindful. I've got to do this. I've got to do that. Because I never understood what Ajahn Chah said. And of course, now you understand. The Buddha planted this beautiful mango orchard called the Dhamma. The mangoes are already on the tree. Truth, peace, enlightenment is right up there, right above you as you're sitting, where you're sitting. All you need to do is to be still enough, to be peaceful enough, to let go of all these hindrances, and make peace with every moment, and then the mango of enlightenment will fall right into your palm. The orchard has already been planted. The fruit is already on the trees. All you need to do is to be still enough, to be patient enough, and the mangoes will fall. And that's a wonderful place to end this talk. Thank you. Okay, any questions about this evening's talk? Or about anything else? Any questions? Yes, we've got a question. How do you deal with lack of discipline in practice? In the book, The Chinese Art of War, there was a general, I forget exactly what his name was, who had the best discipline in the whole imperial army. And the emperor was intrigued. What is your secret of such tremendous discipline? So he summoned this general and asked him in front of the court, you have got the best discipline in your troops of my whole army. What is your secret? Why do your troops always do what they're told? And without missing a beat, the general said, the reason why my soldiers always do what they're told, why they follow orders, is because I only tell them to do what they want to do. So that's how to get perfect discipline. Only tell yourself to do what you want to do. Then you'll always do it. You understand? No, you don't. Because obviously there must be something more to it than that. Because how can you get soldiers to get up early in the morning?